Hi, everybody. Hi, friends. How are you? I'm very happy. I am the regional manager for the Pacific. This is my first event, and I'm here at the ballroom. So I'm very happy. Happy because I have guests. As Pablo said, we have the Super Apps panel. We're going to talk about business. We are not going to talk about technology. The questions we get from customers or the banks we visit is, Super App, for whom? How do I start my first business? How will I get my customers to have their mini apps within my Super App? We have Paula Galotti, co-founder of Uero. Paula. Also, Maximiliano Dermil from the Itaú Bank of Uruguay, and Alejandro Vargas from AGESIC, the National Electronic Government of the Presidency of the Republic of Uruguay. It was a long name, and the applause started before I finished. We're going to divide our panel into 3 blocks. We have one question for each panel member, and we'll talk a little bit together. Gartner says that by the year 2027, over 50% of the world population will be active users of super apps. So we need to know the subject more in depth. The purpose is to answer why some of the organizations must think of having super apps. It is a device for all types of organizations. What is the advantage for users, and what is the business case it applies? So in the first block, we'll talk about who it is addressed to. Paula, I would start with you. Who are the ideal or potential candidates to develop the super apps? Let me make a brief introduction. When we think of the super apps and mini apps ecosystem, we are evaluating a new way to communicate with customers and users, generating a new, unique experience. And through one point of entry, they can use many different services. We are in a place where you may be thinking, well, can I use the application I have today so it becomes a super app? Can I create a super app from scratch? Can I generate an application thinking it will be a super app? Today, are we capable of creating a community of users with something in common so that we want to be part of a super app to use all the services that I have through the mini apps that are part of it? I could think of 3 scenarios for today. These are interesting scenarios today because things change very rapidly. The scenarios, the applications will develop faster than we can imagine. But the 3 scenarios we will mention today would be summarized as follows. The first scenario, we are a company that already has an application that could be or not, could be GenX's or not, and wants to turn it into a super app because it wants to be a platform giving opportunities to third parties like partners, business partners, and others. So they develop mini apps and are part of their super app. So this becomes like a platform. There should be a common interest in the users, in a bank that's quite clear, and in addition, there are services that are provided to the different mini apps. These are shared services, like in the case of a bank for payment. And as we saw in the previous presentation, the case of the event app. We want to know what's going on in this activity, so we go into the super app where different companies, we included, generate mini apps and are part of the platform. The next scenario is one where we can have a company that has developed many applications, and maybe there are other web channels or websites with many services and information that can be used by their users, and they want to standardize things because it may be confusing for clients and users. So we can standardize everything, creating a super app where I, as a company, will develop the super app and also the mini apps that are part of it to give our users a simple way to navigate information. This is interesting. Once we know who logged in, we understand what he can do, what he can see, what we can show this person, and we will develop mini apps that could be very different. They generate single experiences, they have different visuals, and within this, we could have a mini app that is used by suppliers of a company, another is used by clients, or by different internal areas like administration, marketing. These are mini apps that have a different time to market. They are independent in terms of time, format, visual, and user experience. And the third scenario, probably you as companies have developed an application that has evolved over time, and today you have a monster of options. And we are talking about an application that has many different users, many potential actions, and from a technical viewpoint, this is difficult if we want this to evolve. So how can I go from that application, which is very large today, and turn it into an ecosystem of super and mini apps? It will be much simpler for the IT sector of the company and also to visualize things better and get to the clients, internal and external. That's how I see it. That's very important. You always think of banking and retailing as the best candidates. We have Itaú Bank, and we also have AGESIC, which is going to do the first government super app for Uruguay. Today we had lunch with the KFC technology manager. He says, I have 14 brands, thousands of employees in Ecuador, and we're a clear candidate to have a super app. Maximiliano, tell me, you're already working with a super app. You have Mosca, retail, cinemas. What is the bank's strategy to invite partners to join their ecosystem? The bank started a few months ago with a movie, Red Ticket and Mosca. And when we started with a project, when we started selecting what to do, we thought of what would our customers like? How can we simplify their lives? If it's attractive to them, it will work. If not, it will not work. So on that basis, we started thinking of potential business partners. We prepared a short list based on tastes and based on our experience, because we are clients also, and we know about synergy and how to combine bank data with a simplified payment experience, something attractive for the customer and for the business. And here, it's very important to select your partners especially in the world where you have to make payments, because you need many stakeholders for the transactions. So you need partners that are committed, that are engaged in the project, because some aspects are complex. So basically, that is our criteria. What kind of association we can have with partners to simplify our customers' everyday life. So you started with partners who were already working with you. They already had promotions, so you invited them to join. Yes, precisely. We started with long-term partners like Mosca, the stationery company, and in the last 2-3 months, we have a growing production. We are checking and correcting things, because every time you have something new, events occur, and you have to make corrections. And by Friday, we will start working hard on one aspect, and we will foster a new channel. And then the promise of the LLM. So you can use the LLM to have this ready to buy our cinema tickets and pop. Alejandro, why did AGESIC decide to have a super app? Before answering why, we had to answer for whom we are developing this. And we have to think of the users and the organizations. And from the viewpoint of users, the citizens, why allows us to improve the efficiency, the access, make all public procedures more efficient. If they are digital, the citizens may approach the state from one single window through a channel they already know, which is safe. It will improve the user's experience. We all know that this is everybody's using mobile devices. And if we think of organizations, then we have to consider who develops the applications, who offer those super app services, the state in this case. And we also have to think of different agencies that will develop mini apps that are simple, quick, agile, and they shouldn't worry about the content of the super app, which is pre-established with cross-cutting services like authentication, security, payment windows, and then focus on what is fundamental in their business to produce mini apps that solve their business problems or citizens' issues.
Now we also have to think, and I think that the main benefit here is the speed of the value delivery. You know, to be able to upload or download services very quickly without having to go through the stores, through the shops. We all know that it takes time and they have their own validations, so that organizations focus on the development of their business and that they can do it quickly and easily.
En el segundo bloque, otra ronda de preguntas.
We have a second round of questions now, and the question is, how can we accompany our customers all along the process? So super apps is a very nice thing, but who accompanies users? And developers, Genexus Partners has always accompanied our customers. How can we do that? Well, this question of super apps and mini apps is relatively new for everyone in the Genexus world. we understand that it's important for companies taking up this road can be accompanied by companies such as Develop that have experience, that have gone through those development experiences, basically to explain to them what the best methodology is, to have a working basis, to see what we have to focus on and what the important points are. Then a customer may be in charge of all those super apps or mini apps that they may develop, but it's important to be accompanied in their first steps. In fact, we form part of Itaú. We accompanied Itaú in many of the mini apps developments. And that was a very interesting process. We had a very interesting conversation with our customers. And the first thing we had to explain was that a mini app isn't reconstruction of an already existing app, or to go from a website to a native mini app. We have to focus on the basic group of actions that we want to provide our customers. In the case of the film, you look for the film and you buy it. That is a process of action and definition. Is important to know what the specific actions are to form part of that mini app. So it seems that's interesting to tell you that there are several ways of developing mini apps. These are native mini apps developed by Genexus, and this is part of what we did in this process. We developed mini apps conceived from the outset as a native mini app, but we also had the chance to work with some companies. In the case of Red Tickets, a company that already had a responsive web that worked very well, and it was very well adapted to what we wanted. And we adapted it, we trimmed it, and we put it inside a native mini app. And it's good to mention this as an example, because those companies that understand or think that they are far away from this ecosystem can feel closer to it now. And if you think you haven't developed an app, or perhaps you have services, you can't see the need to develop an app in the short term, you can understand, and you may think that you can take up this initiative, adapt your web, and see how you can put that web into a native mini app and form part of an interesting ecosystem. The last thing you mentioned is good to for the question I want to ask Maximiliano. I've also held meetings with banks in Panama, and my question is how I'm going to persuade my partners. How is it that you're going to use the app to buy tickets for the film? What's the advantage? Well, at the end of the day, what your partner wants is to sell more. So what is it that you can offer in this context so that it achieves its goal? And so if you are in a mini app with a good experience, purchases are simplified, and so you'll have a better rate. If it's integrated to a card and you don't have to do anything, it's very simple to upload. But it's also the number of customers that I'm given to them, because there's a synergy. I know that my customers are interested in this product. And I also have data that may be articulated so that the marketing strategy is more effective. Why would you spend millions on contacting everyone? I can tell you who likes to go to the cinema, who eats fast food, and that is the availability of data, and how we can combine them so that our commercial strategy works out. And we're also giving our customers something that is personalized. That's what we are talking. How can we adjust offers to that? Obviously, a partner will see an increase of its business and when it's transferring its channel to this one, and also cost reduction. Now, in your case, you haven't got partners as the cinema, but you're a state. And, well, please remember that I've had some proceedings to carry out. How is AGESIC going to move on? The first proceedings that it's going to offer the population through a super app. In the first place, then, I'd like to tell you that we already have a state app, an app for this, by the state. It's not a super app. We are on the way. It's available in Android and iOS shops, and there are some services available. For instance, access to your clinical record, the request for certificates of birth, digital certificates of birth, cross-cutting components or modules to send notices, for instance, the meetings of mayors in all over the country sending out notices when the identity card or the passport or the driving license is about to expire, for instance, and they send out messages. So what's the idea? What's the purpose of having a super app by the state? Or what is that we imagine? Well, we're going to start by having mini apps of a more massive use and then start increasing more specific sectors, more strategic sectors, and perhaps thinking of what you were talking about earlier, to have a personalized mini app in the case of services, of proceedings, or information that refer to more seasonal events. For instance, tomorrow is Heritage Day, and I can go to the app and see the places that are close to where I am, or focus on the times or the periods of life of a certain person. If this is my first job, probably it can show me services related to my job record or to renew my election card, say. Very well. I live in Chile, but I want to come back and make use of that super app. Well, we have 5 minutes left now with block 3. Where are we and where are we heading to? So, Paula, what do you envisage for 2024 in mini apps and super apps? Well, as a development company, we can see there is a large interest in very many companies to adapt to these initiatives that we have in this new ecosystem. I feel that what's going to happen, and I hope that many companies feel interested in these opportunities and that these challenges or interactions grow. On the other hand, there are high expectations about what's happening with AI and how that's going to have an impact on these new mini apps. Next year, we may meet again when there are going to be far more scenarios than the ones we have now, other types of users that we aren't imagining right now. So I'm open to come back next year because I'm sure that we're going to find out that there are many new things. Maximiliano, I'm sure that there are different customers from the Itaú Bank. What other services can you offer? Well, in the first place, those clients of Itaú will receive communications of this business plan that we're going to develop. We're going to have a summer campaign. In our pipeline, we have a mini app from Agencia Central, which is a bus company, to buy bus tickets, also to include other sectors like fashion or restaurants. And that's what we're going to be doing, focusing on. Alejandro, you've already told me what the future of AGESIC is gov.uy, that is gub.uy. Would you like to sum up? Yes. Although we've been working on this super app project from the more strategic side of it and benchmarks and creating technical standards to develop mini apps. And then that's what we've been doing. And we are heading to the first half of next year. We are going to have a first idea of the super app of the Uruguayan state with some mini apps, and to generate this digital ecosystem of super apps. Thank you. Well, let me give you a reminder. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're going to have a coffee with super apps in a relaxed environment in case you have any questions. So 3 o'clock in our room. So round of applause for our guests, and thank you for your time.